Hi everyone and welcome on my channel. My name is Marie and since the year is coming to an end, I figured this is the best time to tell you about some of the best books that I have read in 2024. These books did not come out in 2024, I just read them in 2024, so most of them are actually quite old. This was a very hard video to film because this year so far I have read 103 books. 26 of these books I have read in English and they were for the most part English books, and 77 other books were only in French. And for the most part I know for a fact that they were not translated into English. So the books that I have picked here for you guys are only books that are in English and that you can find in your own country, because I didn't want to recommend you French books and then you can't read them because you don't know French, you know. So I will make, for those of you who speak fluent French, another video in French about my favorite books of the year, and they will not be the same as my favorite books in English. That being said, I have a selection of 5 books. The first book that I have enjoyed this year is actually the first book that I have read in 2024, and that is Victory City by Salman Rushdie. I had never read anything by Salman Rushdie before, so this is the only book that I have read by Salman Rushdie, and it was the greatest book that I have read this year. It's, I think, one of my favorite ones. So this is the story of Pompa Campana, who is an 8-year-old girl in India, and she is given 257 years to live by a goddess, and during these 257 years she will build a city that is going to become the greatest city ever. So basically it's the story of the rise, the glory and the fall of that city that she's going to build. For those of you who don't know, I lived in India for a year. This is the country where I learned English, where I learned about a whole other culture, and it's not home because, well, France for me is home. I was born and raised here, but India changed me for the better, and the things that I have discovered there, they will forever live in me. And reading a story that is so anchored in Indian tradition and Indian culture, it felt great. But anyway, Victory City is a book as great as the city that Pompa Campana is gonna build, and it was so cool reading a book like that. Then I have 2 books with me that are part of the same series, 2 books that I was really not keen on liking. Those 2 books, I was not expecting to like them so much. These are book 3 and book 4 of the Bridgerton series. Now, I am not a romance kind of person at all, and I remember when the series, the Netflix series came out, I was like, you know what, I'm not gonna watch it because I want to read the books first. So I waited 2 years, maybe even 3 years. I think I started reading the books when season 3 came out. So basically what happened is that Illumicrate came out with these beautiful copies, and I wanted to have them because they look so great in my bookshelves, and I was right, they do. But I was I didn't really think that through. I was I've been wanting to read it for a while, so I'm gonna buy them, yay! And then they're gonna sit in my bookshelf and just dust because I will not be reading them. Turns out I read them in maybe a week. I was addicted to that series, surprisingly. So I feel my favorite books of that series deserve to be in this video because I was so not expecting to like them so much. So basically, for those of you who don't know Bridgerton, it's the story of those 8 siblings in the Regency era, and it's basically all of their love stories. Book 3 is Benedict's love story, and book 4 is Colin's love story with Penelope. And the third book is my favorite one because first off, I love the female love interest, Sophie. She's strong. She's not a little princess. She's strong, she's resilient, and I just love that for her. Some of you might say that this was the most cliche book of the entire series because basically it kind of felt like, when reading it, it kind of felt like a Cinderella retelling, but it was so good that I like totally forgot about it. And then I moved on to book 4, which I read in a day. This is Penelope's book. It's my favorite one because I love, like, who doesn't love Penelope? She doesn't fit any like of the beauty standards of that era. She's kind of like keeping to herself all the time. You don't expect much from her, and yet she's that like beautiful, caring, inventive, smart character, and I just like loved her so much. And also I like that love story because it's not a cliche like love at first sight kind of love story. Penelope and Colin have known each other for like maybe more than 10 years. They are like best friends kinda, so it's kind of like a friend to lover situation, and I loved it. So if you guys are like me, you don't like romance and you think it's cliche as fuck, well, it is. But here you have Bridgerton, and gosh, did I love those books. One of the books that I read this year was Punk 57 by Penelope Douglas. This is a book that I have been wanting to try forever because it's not the kind of book that I usually like, and I hear that Penelope Douglas is quite known and I wanted to read some of her work. So I picked Punk 57 because I thought it was the one that I was most likely to like. This tells the story of Misha and Ryan, who are assigned pen pals in like 8th grade or something. But once the assignment is over, they never stop writing to each other, and they become best friends through letters. And they have those rules to like never meet in real life, and also to never give each other their phone numbers because they just like writing letters. So basically what happens is that they are going to accidentally meet, and Misha, who is the boy, is going to recognize Ryan, and he is going to be very, very disappointed by Ryan and the person that she is in real life. What he feels like is that Ryan is not the same person in her letters and in real life, and he just starts like viscerally hating her. So they hate each other when they meet in real life. I love that book because I write letters a lot, and when I was in middle school / high school, I would have died for someone to read my letters and answer me. And I think like I like this book so much as like a 23-year-old girl, only because that is a book that I would have absolutely loved if I had read it in high school. I don't know how to explain that. It just like satisfied the old me so much. It's on my favorites list because first off, I love the concept of this book. I love the plot, the storytelling, but also like I just would have loved to read that in 2017, you know. I don't think I'm gonna be reading any more of Penelope Douglas's work though, because it's kind of like dark romance and I am absolutely not into that. My best friend is reading a book by her right now in French, so I don't have the title in mind, but it's pretty fucking weird. So I think I'm just gonna stay happy with this one and never again pick up a book by Penelope Douglas. We are down to the last book of this video. It's just, I feel like everybody has talked about this book at some point. It's my favorite book of this year because I just like cannot shut up about it. So I Am Glad My Mom Died by Jenette McCurdy. When you see that in bookstores, you have to stop and think and like, I need to know like what could make you write a book and then title it I Am Glad That My Mom Died. Everybody knew Jenette McCurdy because of iCarly and Nickelodeon. I had never heard of it before because, well, I never watched iCarly as a kid. I didn't even know it existed. Like I was not allowed to watch TV. The only thing that I could watch were movies. This is a memoir. It left me shattered. She tells the story of her relationship with her mom as a young actress, like as someone who never wanted to do acting but who was forced into that by her mom. And also it's a story of grief because her mom passed away of cancer, I think, back when she was like maybe 18 or something. and basically coming to realize that you're missing that person who was abusive, and then you realize that you're better off without them. And I think that is the worst thing that you could possibly ever realize about someone who's passed away, because what she explains very good is that we have a tendency to romanticize the dead and just tell ourselves like, oh yeah, if she hadn't died she would have been like this, and we would have talked and we would have understood each other and blah blah blah. And then you realize that no. This is just a side of grief that I had never had to face. She loved her mom so much, and then she just like realizes that her mom was doing all these things that were not normal and not okay. And I think it's a beautiful book. I think it's a necessary book for those who are grieving and who are like going through stuff like depression or eating disorders and stuff like that. And I really hope that she keeps on writing and that she writes other stuff, because even if it has nothing to do with her personal experience, I will read what she writes because she's a very good writer. I just think it's a grief story that is very important, and like she highlights very well the fact that like that tendency we have to forgive the dead for everything and to forget for a moment, just because they're dead, to forget that there were things that they did that were not okay. And I think some people might need a reminder of that. Also, really bold of her to just like that cover and that title. She just like thought of everything, and she is beautiful, and I am really admirative of her and her work and what she's been through. And like, I don't even know her as an actress. I haven't watched iCarly or anything, but like I can tell she's very talented, and if not for acting then definitely for writing. So these were my favorite books of the year. It's a bit mixed. It's a big mix of like every different genre that could possibly exist in books. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will go back to reading now. Happy New Year and Merry belated Christmas, I guess. Bye!